All right, we are off and running here with our next race. The racing never stops here at the San Diego Crew Classic, and we are back into it with another 7-lane race. This is the women's D2, D3, and Club Collegiate Varsity 8. This is the Grace Rhett Memorial Cup. In lane 1, Orange Coast College. Lane 2, Purdue. Lane 3, UC Irvine. Lane 4, UC Santa Barbara. Lane 5, UC Davis. Lane 6, UC Irvine, and Lane 7, another entry from UC Santa Barbara. So we've got 2 Irvine entries as well as 2 Santa Barbara entries.
And this Grace Rhett Memorial Cup in honor of Grace Rhett, who was a member of the Holy Cross rowing team who was tragically killed in a van accident during her team's training camp in 2020. This trophy has been created in her memory to honor her love of the sport of rowing and the positive impact she left on her team and community.
All right, and we've got 4 crews, actually 5 crews right now that are still just kind of jockeying for that lead position. I'm going to give an advantage to Orange Coast College there against the Shoreline for that top spot, but good challenge coming out of lane 3. That's UC Irvine. UC Irvine with really some speedy boats this year, and for the first time in recent memory, able to field 2 varsity 8s and both of those boats in this event. So we've got UC Irvine in lane 3 as well as Irvine out there in lane 6. So right now, Orange Coast and UC Irvine, those are your top 2 boats. They're followed closely by UC Santa Barbara in lane 4, as well as Purdue in lane 2.
Really loving that tight grouping in lanes 1 through 4. That means that we've got some racing happening in those boats. So keep your eyes to the screens because anything could be happening over there, lanes 1 through 4. Looking like, as Adrian mentioned, the positions panning out as their respective lanes. So it looks like lanes 1, 2, 3, and 4 in those 1, 2, 3, and 4 positions. And then we jump out to what appears to be lane 6, UC Irvine, sitting next up in 5th. Behind them, UC Davis, and then UC Santa Barbara in that order. Now, a pretty tight spread here still, so no clear leader at this point, other than the fact that Orange Coast College is in the lead. But from the racing that we've been seeing today, this is one of the tighter groupings that we've had so far. And so when you've got that tight grouping, you can expect that those crews are still in it to win it. They're still here to race. And so change could still happen. Again, we talked about that 1,300-meter mark being a place for moves in this race. So don't count anybody out at this point. Keep your eyes to the racing because there could be a lot of fun to be had here.
That's right. And those OCC women, they've really been dominant at this club D2, D3 level, and definitely with a lot of history here at the San Diego Crew Classic. Important to note, this is a 2-year school, so a junior college that generally and traditionally fields athletes moving up to the Division I ranks. So getting a great start here, rowing for OCC. Coach Laura Bear has been at the helm there at Orange Coast for almost 20 years. Last year really was a historic season for the Pirates as they captured a gold medal in the Novice 8 at the Accra Championship, and certainly quite a few of those athletes from the Novice 8 carrying over into this Varsity 8. 5 of those athletes return. So we're going to look for some top end speed from OCC. They have already raced quite a bit. A lot of these crews, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, Orange Coast, they have seen each other, and Davis have seen each other early on in spring racing. So we'll take a look to see if there's been any sort of a change up in order of finish. But right now it is OCC. They're the top dog in this race.
There looks like Purdue may have made a move to come up against Orange Coast College there and start to push into that lead position. Behind them, UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara. So it looks like we may have Purdue now in the lead up on Orange Coast College. They presented a challenge, they made a move, and it looks like they are now in that lead position. Confirmed now as we get a better angle of this race here, side by side. We've got about 3 seats up for Purdue on Orange Coast College.
Yeah, great side by side racing here from the Boilermakers and the Pirates as they barrel down the race course. Great move there by Purdue. As I was talking about Orange Coast and the great season they were having, Purdue made that big move and came up to challenge Orange Coast, now overtaking. And every stroke they take, you can see they're moving just a little bit further afield of OCC's lead. They had held that lead all the way to this point. Just behind them, also a lot of speed heating up there between UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara. Irvine with that top position now in third, sitting about one length over UC Santa Barbara.
With the kind of power that Purdue is now putting through the oars, that's always a big confidence booster at this point in the race. Those athletes know that they are locking in together and that they are able to push out a lead over Orange Coast College. You can see they've put now what looks to be a little bit of open water between them and OCC. That camera now panning back to our other boats. It looks like we have Lane 6, UCI, ahead of Lane 5, UC Davis, and Lane 7, UC Santa Barbara on the outside behind them. A little bit tough to tell again with this angle, but those boats now are starting to close that gap from that open water of Bridge 2. This camera's going to take us now back to the lead racing here. There we are seeing Orange Coast College over in lane 1 and out ahead. Purdue has made quite the move. It almost looks like they did that in an effort to have to not go for a sprint at the last minute. They wanted to make sure that they solidified it early. Purdue moving past those white tents. Orange Coast College there staying steady. Looks like they may not have the responsive power that Purdue brought against them.
What some great late surge there in speed for Purdue. They were just very consistent and patient and just waited to unleash what they've got here in this final 150 meters as they come towards the line. Purdue was third in this event last year, and it will be great to be able to take home that trophy all the way back to Indiana. Purdue, the Boilermakers, coming out on top here in the women's D2, D3 club collegiate varsity 8 Grace Rhett Memorial Cup. Purdue will be their bow first across the line. Orange Coast behind them now by open water. UC Irvine in third. UC Santa Barbara in fourth. And then back by a bit of open water, finishing will be UC Irvine, Davis, and then Santa Barbara.
And a huge celebration there by Purdue. That must feel great knowing that they took third last year to come back and bring the victory this year. What a change between years to go from that third spot to winning this race, clearly ecstatic over their victory. But a well fought battle between Purdue and Orange Coast College. That was a real race between the two crews.